Oh, all right. I think we're live. Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing great. Happy Mother's Day, I guess, even though I don't really keep track of these things. I think it's Mother's Day. Is it? Hold on. Oh, Jesus. Hold on. Yeah, it is Happy Mother's Day. There you go. Yo, yo, yo. Hope y'all are doing well. Hey. All right. Wait, hold on. Speaking of whatever day, because I find these things corny. I hate stuff like Earth Day, yeah, special day, etc. It's like, yo, who gives a shit, right? Like, I don't even celebrate my own birthday. But if I remember correctly, uh, who was the man who came up with Earth Day? Ah, yes, Senator Gaylord Nelson. Yes, yes. Very, very interesting. Anyways, with that being said, let's get to work. All right. So, uh, between yesterday's stream and today's stream, um, I started like brainstorming ideas, right, for the core gameplay. Because as I was saying, let's just find it again. Tron Legacy. Tron Legacy Arena, I guess. Pictures. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's actually a really good picture here. This shows some of the visuals like before they were finalized, but like stuff like this, right? What is this? I just noticed the shape of the game's arena in Tron Legacy. Interesting. That was the first thing I thought when they revealed the disc. I wonder if there's an. No, I don't get it. What is it supposed to be? The shape of the arena is reminiscent of the new identity discs and Tron Ares. Oh, okay, interesting. So, anyways, that's the thing, right? Like we have the arena here, we have this here and stuff, right? So I was thinking something visually kind of like this, right? Like very neon, like futuristic. I'm not sure if cyberpunkish is the right word, but you know what I mean, right? Like this very interesting type of stuff, right? But then also, not like I don't want it to look entirely like Tron. I want it to have that feel, but also be mixed with this game that I've never played, but I remember seeing its Kickstarter like years ago, like almost a decade ago. Oh, hold on. I'll be in chat in a minute. I got a shit. Also, yeah, a lot of useless holidays gotta go. But when I do want to celebrate is Juneteenth by streaming RE5, the best black representation game. Yeah, indeed. But yeah, so as I was saying, like, there's this game, like indie mech game that I've never played, but I remember seeing its Kickstarter and I really enjoyed like the art style and the visuals, right? So before today's stream, I took the time to take a bunch of screenshots that I found of like the different mechs in that game, right? So so this is kind of what the art style is and what some of the mechs look like with their names and everything, right? And so like we can look at different versions of them like that, right? Etc. etc. You know. And so the idea that I had was I really like this type of like industrialist, like brutalist. Well, maybe not brutalist, but like this very industrial, like blocky, and kind of like minimalistic, but still somewhat detailed look on like the way like the way the mechs work and look. I mean, right? Like some of them are a bit more rounder, like this one, but it still works, right? And so I was thinking like, okay, maybe we can combine something like this, right? Like this kind of more like rough look, and then mix it with some of the more like Tron Legacy, let's say characters or whatever. Yeah, like kind of like mix it with kind of something like this, right? Not this. Hold on. Okay, yeah, here you go. So something a bit more like this, right? So like a mixture between this type of stuff and like this, right? To create something, yeah, exactly. Mech warrior in low geometry, yeah, kind of, but still kind of slick and a bit futuristic looking. And the thing also that I was thinking is, instead of having mechs that are holding guns, because I know this is big with like Japanese mechs, like Armored Core, Gundam, etc., etc. Yeah, exactly. Kind of like warrior athletes, kind of. And as I was saying, like I know that a lot of Japanese mechs are the types that like hold weapons and stuff. But for me, what I personally have always preferred is Pacific Rim robots, right? Yeah, it's this type, right? Like the robots where like there are different body parts transform to look like the weapons or whatever, right? Um, yeah, and like the different styles and looks on the robots and stuff, right? So see, exactly this, I don't like this. A robot holding a sword, I don't like that. A robot holding a whip, I don't know. It doesn't do it for me, right? So I was thinking of something a bit more like that, right? And so what I ended up like kind of an idea that I got, yeah, proper hardpoint weapons rather than equipables. Yeah, exactly. And the thing that I was also kind of thinking is for it to be like modular. So hold on. So Overwatch 2 cinematic. Yeah, hold on. Can I find good pictures? Nah. Okay, I'm gonna have to go directly here with this cringe ass fucking cinematic. Hold on. Where was it? Oh, okay. So, yeah, no one cares. This is cringe.
Can't stay here.
Shut the fuck up, bitch. Okay, there you go. Okay, so like this mech here, I remember like this mech here is the only thing I actually enjoyed from this cinematic. uh, Transform software could be a collectible. Yeah, exactly. So basically, what I was thinking is, the reason why I always really enjoyed the look of this mech. Maybe there's another. Okay, yeah, perfect. This here is kind of like a better look. Okay, there you go. Right here we can fully see it. Right. So the reason why I always really liked and why this cinematic like stuck in my mind is because I really liked the look on of this mech, of how it really looks like it's modular, right? Like you have the torso, you have the legs, and then you have like spheres connecting them, right? And that's why in my game, hold on, let's just open this up, the scripts and everything. Okay, there you go. This is why, if you look at the way I designed the player character, again, it's just like very basic shapes. It's kind of based off of this, right? So the blue parts are the parts that aren't rotating, but then the white segment is the one that's rotating, right? Chrome Hounds might be one with gameplay you can find. Okay, hold on. Oh, whoops. Let me pause this. Chrome Hounds. Oh, what For Honor is supposed to look like? Hold on. 70 years of Godzilla and your roar in Southeast. Yeah, okay, cool. Cool story, bro. Chrome Hounds. Ooh, interesting. That's from 2006. Damn, it looks good. Oh, hold on.
Destroy the vehicle in front of you.
Okay, I can kind of see. Okay, come on, start moving. You fucking N-word. Come on. Oh my god. Okay, there you go. Yeah, well, exactly. So kind of this idea, but as I was using this as an example, right? So hold on, let me take a screenshot of this to kind of explain to you guys what I had in mind for like the core gameplay, right? Okay, copy, paint. Okay, there you go. All right, I can close this. Okay, so basically, okay, perfect. So basically here we can see like the you know, the different like segments kind of, right? And so this whole thing here is like its own segment. This one here, then we have like the torso with the head, let's say. We have these legs here, these ones here, right? Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, like kind of like joints, right? And so what I was thinking is maybe the way we could do the core gameplay, and in a way that would allow me to show you guys a bunch of like different, how to code different things in Unity and stuff, right? Like different cool things, would be that the core gameplay is let's do this here. It's basically you start with a very basic mech that doesn't have any upgrades, let's say, and you just have like some really basic mechanics, kind of like what we have right now, right? Like you can ground pound and a bunch of other stuff like that, right? And the idea is you're in an arena, right? So if we go here, no, hold on, let's go back. Okay, so you have like the arena or whatever, right? And initially the arena has nothing in it, like no obstacles, no platforms, no nothing. And you get like swarmed by enemies, and the key is to just like kill the wave, right? Like it goes wave after wave after wave, and you basically have to defeat each wave, and every time, let's say, you defeat an enemy, you get like a point or whatever, and the what's it called, the at the end of each round, right, you can spend those points to get some rewards, right? So let me just do this, like, I don't know, like Hades 2 booms, let's say, right? Okay, there you go. That's a good example here, right? So like maybe you can choose between one of 3 boons or whatever, right? Like exactly, kind of like in Hades, kind of like in a lot of roguelikes, right? And so the idea would be, let's close this. The idea would be that as like that each boon is specific for a certain segment or portion of your mech, right? So you're going to have specific boons for the head and the torso, right? Then you're gonna have a specific one for the left arm, right? You're gonna have another one for the right arm, right? You're gonna have another one for the left leg, and another one for the right leg, right? And then eventually, like, you can also start adding ones like in the back or whatever, and they're each gonna have how can I say, they're each going to work with their own like they're gonna have like I guess their own mechanic, their own controller, or whatever. So for instance, like let's say the torso, right, is gonna be controlled with like the F key, right? The left arm is gonna be hold on, it's gonna be mouse 0, which is left click. This one is gonna be mouse 1, which is right click. And then for the legs, it's, I don't know, who knows, right? And for the back, it might be space or maybe the legs. I don't know, we'll see, right? But then like, oh, wow. Another key here, another key here, or whatever. Or maybe actually, maybe both legs. No, yeah, actually, this is what I'm gonna do. Yeah, both legs are gonna be the same, right? They're gonna be put together, right? And this is gonna be space bar, let's say space bar. Then this here, as I said, was M0. Let's say the F key, just because it's simpler for me, right? I find that intuitive, but it's like, who cares what it's actually gonna be, right? And then, oh wait, this is M0. This is M1, so M0, F, and then M1, right? So as you can see in this picture, the robot, like on this arm here, he has like this type of cannon here, right? Like this cannon here. Whereas on this arm, this thing here is a completely different cannon, right? And then like the head and whatever the fuck else here is different, etc., right? So what I was thinking is this: it's like, it's just an endless game of survival, and it's just a question of like, what's your high score, you know? And the thing is that the arena would be changing every, like, it would be periodically changing, right? Like basically with every boon, hold on. Basically with every boon that the player gets, or like every upgrade or whatever, the arena starts changing. Maybe there's like a lower level, maybe like platforms start appearing, etc., right? And so that would be kind of like the core gameplay loop, which is just fight enemies, survive, and then at the end of each round you get like a reward, and then the key is to just get the highest score possible, right? And eventually when you inevitably die, maybe we can also have a mechanic where the build that you had can now appear as an enemy type, right? That could be interesting. I don't know what you guys think of this, let me know. But I think this is like a good start on how to kind of make a like this type of like fighter game slash platformer type of thing, you know what I mean? I think it could have some potential, you know. So hold on. So where were we? Okay, there you go. So let me just test to see what we have so far, right? Okay, there you go. Yeah. And then the cool thing with this is that we can then add a bunch of like what would be the mech what would the mech be doing in the arena? Well, it would be fighting, basically. Hold on. Okay, there you go. Perfect. And now if I fall here, okay, amazing. There you go. Now if we go here, the enemy spawner, as I said. Okay. 2. Okay, there you go. Perfect. Hold on. You're copying something. I just need to think of it so I can get. Yeah, yeah. Hold on. So what would the mech be doing in the arena? Okay, but how? Okay, so AGT is Randy copying? I don't know. But yeah, so the idea that I had is like we can keep the how can I say? So you know how in Hades, the let me find some visuals, right? Hades 2 weapons. Okay. All weapons. Okay, sure, whatever. Okay, so depending on your weapon in Hades, your move set is completely different, right? Hold on, not this. So Hades, all player moves, I guess. I don't know. Gameplay mechanics. Okay. I just need. I can't find it. Right. No, it's not this. Hades 2. All room types. No, not this, not this. Yeah, okay, no. I can't find it, but basically you have like different moves. So like left click is melee attacks, right click is ranged attacks, space bar is dash, stuff like that, right? It's not the same fighting with switches that control the scenario that fighting with continuous mobile beams, retractable long range tools, etc. I'm not sure I understand what you're trying to say, red herring. Maybe elaborate a bit on what you mean. But the idea that I had was basically like hold on, where was the picture? Is that you move around the arena, right? So like here, let's say like hold on. Like we're moving around the arena here, right? Oh Jesus Christ. No. Okay. Oh boy. All right. So like we're moving around the arena, like I'm jumping or whatever. I'm shooting at enemies with like, well, I basically like if I'm spamming left click or right click, right? I'm gonna like left click is gonna make me use the whatever abilities or stuff like that I have on my left arm. Same thing with right click. Space is going to be jump or whatever ability my like the trunk or like the lower half of the mech has, right? Like depending on what the legs are, maybe it could be like it could allow me to fly or maybe to slide around or just jump normally like I'm doing right now, right? And so the idea would be to create this like modular type of gameplay where like depending on what the player chooses to have equipped, right? It's gonna affect their gameplay and their what do you say? What do you call it? Like their like their abilities, the skills that they can use, right? Basically, the way they can interact with the game, right? That would kind of be the idea that I had. And then, like with each round that progresses, more and more random things are going to start appearing, right? Like there are going to be traps, there are going to be different types of platforms. The arena is going to start changing every round, right? Like some rounds are going to have like basically a bunch of floating platforms and the rest is like lava. Other rounds are gonna have no lava whatsoever, but more and like fewer platforms, but maybe different types of things like this thing here that's a bit buggy, but you know what I mean. So that's kind of what I had in mind, you know. Hold on. So, hold on. Yeah. So I'm thinking that what I need to do now is okay. Here we have player manager. There you go. It's to... Oh yeah, and also like the enemies won't be these like brainless, like mindless enemies. Maybe some might, others maybe not, right? But what I was thinking is that we might have like some brainless enemies like these, right? That are just moving in patterns and whatever. But even then, they're probably going to be a bit more sophisticated than that. But also, like, most enemies are gonna like follow the player depending on where they're going, right? Okay, for example, if you get sticky legs, your playstyle would allow you to fight from roofs, but a hook arm would allow to attract enemies or jump there. Yeah, well, exactly. So that's what I was thinking, right? So for instance, let's say, right, that let's take this as an example, right? The left arm has this type of cannon or gun on it, right? But also like an arm, right? So this means that it could do melee damage, but also ranged damage, etc., etc. Whereas this one is just a cannon, so this one would be more of a long range. Oh my god! Wow, AGD, shots fired. Oh Jesus. But yeah, so for instance, like this cannon here would be more long ranged, for instance, right? You could have like the different uh, like the shoulders could have their own abilities, stuff like that, right? I said nothing. No. AGT is the one who started like what do you call it? Oh my god, I forgot. Anyways, AGT is the one stirring stirring shit. But no, but red herring, like the example you gave is basically what I had in mind, right? Like the different, let's say, modules or whatever would be would be what affects the gameplay. So for instance, let's say that here on the right arm, the robot has this cannon, but let's say on the left arm, the mech has like a sword or whatever, some kind of melee weapon. Well, then when the player presses M1, which is left click, the mech would automatically dash forward and deal damage to any enemy around it. Like, you see what I mean? Anti-game sense narrative. I'm just playing. Let it not be forgotten. He got a win. What win did he get? Again, like, I'm not keeping up with any of this stuff, so I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, so as I was saying, that's kind of the plan I have in mind. So this means that we would have mainly 4 different types of controls. For now, I might add others later on, right? So we're gonna have a right arm, like right arm, left arm, legs, and then head with the torso, right? All right, don't worry about it. I'm being distracted now. All right, no worries. Okay. All right, so how would I go about coding something like this, right? Okay, so here we have the player manager script, which as of right now basically controls everything that happens with the player, including how the player moves, how the player detects collisions, etc., etc. And I think I'm gonna keep it that way. I think I'm going to keep it like only one hitbox, right? So despite the fact that we have different modules here, right? Oh, or maybe, what do you guys think? Should I keep a single hitbox for the player, or should I have different hitboxes for each section? I feel like it would be better to only have one hitbox for anything that involves movement and like taking damage and stuff, right? But maybe for enemies, especially like bosses, I think for bosses it would be interesting to have multiple different like hitboxes and stuff. So that way, like basically like the bosses would have multiple um, uh, like health bars, right? So like when you destroy one of the boss's arms, well, it's just the arm that's gone, but like the rest of the boss can still deal damage and stuff, right? Okay. That's interesting. Depends on the overall precision. Well, yeah, that too, right? And that's the thing. It's like if it becomes that way, it becomes a bit too much of a pain in the ass to code for the player. Not for enemies, it's fine, but for the player, it becomes a bit too difficult to balance and stuff like that. And also, um, I would have to think up of an interesting mechanic involving losing limbs, and I feel like that would actually um, go against the core gameplay in the sense that it would stop the flow of the game. You know what I mean? If you don't want firing between legs uh, and limbs, etc., go with one. Yeah. That sounds better. But do you plan to put assisted aiming in the game? Um, Not necessarily. The way I'm thinking of doing it is that. Uh, hmm. I was thinking of having a sort of auto aim mechanic in the sense that um, whichever direction the player is facing, they're automatically gonna hit uh, whatever enemy is nearest to their what do you call it? To their like reticle or whatever, right? So let's say, okay, hold on. Let's say that right here you have the crosshair or whatever. Jesus Christ, this is bad. Okay, hold on. Okay, there you go. Right, you have, let's say, this, right? Well, then you're going to have, let's say, for the right arm, you're gonna have maybe a visual thing, right? Like let's say you have enemies. Okay, hold on. Let's say you have the reticle here, right? And then you have an enemy. You have an enemy here. Or actually, yeah. Like an enemy here, another enemy here, and then another enemy here, right? And then on the left side, your left arm is gonna have like let's say something aiming for the nearest enemy, and same thing with the one on the left, right? So yeah, there you go, right? There you go. You know what I mean? Like that, right? Etc. etc. Like you know what I mean? So that's kind of what I was thinking. I like auto aim. It's easier to make special command moves in it. Yeah, so that's kind of the idea I had, just to keep things simple, because I don't want this game to turn into a third-person shooter or like basically I don't want this to become like Marvel Rivals. You know what I mean? Where like you have to have like specific precision aim and stuff like that, right? I want the challenge to be more about positioning. Yeah, yes, auto lock nearest to reticle, just cause uses this at a limited. Well, yeah, kind of exactly. That would be the idea, right? Like, cause I want the challenge to be all about positioning and timing rather than aim. You know what I mean? That's kind of the idea I'm going with, right? So with that in mind, right? Uh, for now we have 4 different parts, right? 4 different body parts, right? For the mech. Okay, just give me a second. I'm gonna be right back. 10 seconds. Sorry, I had to scratch my back on the corner of my doorway. Like, hold on. Like, uh, hold on. Like this. Yeah. This is what I had to do. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Alright. Yeah, primitive, exactly. Alright. So yeah, so okay, so that's the plan, right? So what this means is we're going to have left click, right click, space bar, and then let's say the F key for now. Like, I don't know if it's gonna always remain the F key or whatever. But yeah, okay, so that's the plan. Okay, so now let's start to code this. And then the next step is going to be to start working on some very basic enemies, right? But before we do that, the first thing I just want to add, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to help me with this, right? Is gonna be oh, hold on, just give me a second. All right, there you go. To get one of those car wash spinny things in the house. Yeah, yes, you can lean into it. Yep. All right. So, let's see. Notepad. Okay. Okay, so let's just copy paste this here, like that. Okay, so here is, so okay, so hold on. So I'm currently prototyping gameplay ideas in a Unity 6 project. Okay, here's the on trigger enter for my player character. Currently, whenever the player collides with an enemy, so whenever the player collides with an enemy, so whenever the player isn't attacking and collides with an enemy, okay, they are the player gets pushed backwards regardless of the direction either of them are facing. Could you help me make it so that the player instead gets pushed in the direction opposite of the enemy? Here's the script for reference. All right, there you go. All right, let's see what ChatGPT is gonna say. You're very close. The only change needed is how you calculate the knockback direction. Well, exactly. When the player takes damage, right now you're using which is, which basically this thing here is the vector. So the direction in which we're pushing the player back. This also pushes the player backwards relative to their own forward, not the enemy's position, hence the wrong direction. Oh, well, it's, hold on. Replace that line with a force calculation based on the direction away from the enemy. So knockback direction equals transform dot position. So that's the position of the player minus this dot normalized, yeah. And then blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah. Okay, simple. Yeah. So again, like, I'm so not used to doing these things because in my RTS games, yeah, it's going to be one hitbox for the main mech, yeah. Because in my RTS game, I'm doing things completely differently. And so I've like kind of forgotten how to do a lot of this basic stuff, right? And so I'm at the point where, like, I'm not even asking myself any questions. I either always go back to my old scripts and just copy paste the code, Or when it's something simple like this, I'm just like, yo, ChatGPT, just tell me what to fucking do, you know? Okay, hold on. So where was this? Main rigid body, add force. Aha. Otherwise, make the player take damage whenever. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, so I guess this is how it would look. I already have the code, but I just want to make sure it's the exact same. Yes. Okay, perfect. So now let's see. Vector 3. Yeah, knock back direction v3 equals the transform dot position minus I could do this, yeah, minus collider. Actually no, I'm gonna do it the way ChatGPT should, because this is gonna be useful for other stuff like projectiles and whatnot, right? Normalize, there you go. Knock back direction, and then there you go. There you go. Okay, so now this should work. Let's see. Tell me the answer is ChatGPT. Remember to treat it like trash so any learning models think that. I'm actually super polite. I'm super nice to the AI. It's genuinely been really helpful for me. So I'm not an AI hater. I think by now you guys should know that I'm on the side of the AI. You know, what happens happens, as they say. All right, hold on. Okay, so now let's see. Oh, fuck. Ugh. Oh, shit. Okay, so now. Okay, nice. Okay. Okay, yeah, it's still doing the weird jittery stuff. Yeah, well, maybe I really am that thing that you're saying, red herring. Okay, that's nice. So now let's move this way. Okay, perfect, amazing. All right, so now that this works, okay, now let's actually start thinking of how I'm going to do this mechanic that I was talking about, like these different parts, how they would work. Because the idea is that whenever you get an upgrade, you kind of choose what type of limb you're going to add to your mech, right? Like, oh, is it gonna be a cannon? Is it gonna be a sword arm? Is it gonna be a shield? Like whatever, right? Like if we go back to this, right? You can see like this one, for instance, has a shield and then a cannon here, right? This one might have like a big cannon and a smaller machine gun or whatever. This one might, let's pretend it has a sword on this arm and something else here, right? Etc. Right? Like this one has giant shields on their arms, and then the big cannon here would be the F section, right? The torso and head, right? So this is kind of what I had in mind, right? Like the different things like that, right? So the way I could potentially code this, right? Okay. Okay, I think I have an idea. So I'm going to have a script that is going to be called like it's going to be something like left arm. Then I'm going to have another script called right arm, and then I'm gonna have another script called legs, and then another one that's gonna be torso, I guess, or body or whatever, right? Okay, so I'm gonna have these 4 scripts, and then the player manager is going to be accessing game objects that have these scripts on. And so whenever the player chooses a specific limb to add to their mech, it's going to spawn up, it's going to instantiate a prefab. Or actually, no, it doesn't even need to instantiate the prefab. It's going to have a list. So the game manager is going to have a list of the different available limbs, right? And it's going to simply activate whichever limb needs to be activated, and then what do you call it? And then once that limb is activated, it's going to function based on the player's inputs and stuff. Okay. Okay, this is gonna take some time to implement, but that's fine. So let's think of how we're gonna do this. Okay, so we're going to have okay, yeah. Mono behavior is going to be it's gonna be with all the combinations. Yeah, I'm thinking of something like that, right? I'm not 100% sure, but I think for now we're gonna go with something like this, right? So how should I name this? Because I'm also thinking of, would those scripts be player specific, or would they be general scripts? I think for now I'm gonna make them player specific, and later on I'm gonna copy paste them into new scripts for the enemies, but I'm gonna modify them, right? So let's say player body. Okay. All right. Player body. Okay. Player. Oops. Player. Left arm. Player body, player left arm, player right arm. Okay, be right back, gotta scratch my back again. Okay, there you go. Alright, so hold on. So we have player body, player left arm, player right arm, and then player legs. Player legs. Alright, hold on. Okay. Okay, so player body, player left arm, legs. Okay. Okay, actually I'm gonna delete these and I'm gonna rename them just so that it's easier. Okay. Come on. Delete. Alright. Player body, player left arm, there you go. Okay. Okay, so now here we're gonna do player arm right. Jesus. And then player arm left. And then, so that was player arm right, player arm left. All right. Okay. Okay, and then so the idea is that these 4 scripts, right? Hold on. Player legs, player body. Okay, so the player arm left, player arm right, body, legs, etc. These 4 scripts are going to be like containers for data, right? They're going to contain data, and then the player manager, this is the thing that's going to take damage. This is the thing that's going to manage player movement and everything. It's just going to take a lot of its variables from all 4 of these, right? So let's go up here and say, okay, so, oops, header, player, oh no, for variables for accessing other scripts. There you go. So we have this. Oh, actually, I don't really need a header for that, but whatever. Okay, so private, we're gonna have a player body. This, this player body script, or I guess current. Okay, private player legs, current player legs script, private player arm left, private arm right. There you go. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is what we are going to have, right? And now let's also create a what's it called, a game manager script. So generally the game manager type of script is the type of script that controls the most important parts of your game, right? It's kind of like the brain to the body, right? It's the thing that makes sure that everything else works, right? So it's when you create a script like a game manager script, the goal of this script is not to do like specific stuff, right? It's to do the broad general stuff, right? To make sure like this is, for instance, the type of script that like when you press exit, it's this script that's gonna run the logic to turn off the game, for instance, right? Stuff like that, basically, right? So now I'm just preparing all these scripts. Most of these I'm not really gonna touch them a lot right today. It's the point of synchronization where everything comes together. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Again, AGT Infinity, as always, is perfectly synthesizing what I'm trying to say. Right? Okay, so now let me do another script that's going to be player upgrade. Okay, so the idea that I have is that at the very center of each arena is going to be like a type of pad or like an area where at the end of each round the player goes there to get an upgrade, right? And the moment they get the upgrade is when the next round begins, basically, right? So player upgrade. So hold on. No, it's player manager. Okay, game manager. Pivot, static. Manager. Okay, there you go. Okay, and then player manager. Okay. Okay, current this. Okay, no. So here I'm going to do player manager. Script, and then here we're going to do player manager script equals player instance. There you go. Okay, so this means that at void start we immediately gain access to the player manager script. Okay, now let's go into our player manager script and do the opposite. No, that's platform manager, player manager. There you go. And here we're gonna do private game manager script. Oops. There you go. These four, we're gonna push them here just because visually I prefer it that way. And now here we're gonna do set up all relevant variables, player manager object. Okay, sure. Game manager script equals game manager instance. Okay, so now same thing, we have access to this. And again, the type of stuff that I'm doing right now is just setup, right? I'm just setting everything up so that eventually it's a bit easier to start adding the mechanics, right? So now the first thing I'm thinking of doing is creating the so for now what I'm thinking is that I'm going to create a very basic script with the player upgrade script, like some very basic logic that's going to make it that whenever the player like collides with it, the player is going to gain a random upgrade. So for now we're going to keep it simple. We're not going to make it similar to the how can I say? Yeah, we're not going to make it similar to like your typical roguelike where you have to choose between one of three or whatever. Instead, it's going to be just a random upgrade each time, right? So, and this is going to allow me to show you guys how we can create RNGs, right? Like random number generators and stuff like that, right? Okay, so where is it? Player upgrade. Player upgrade. Okay, so okay, game manager. Oops. Private game manager. This script. Private player manager. This player manager script. This player manager script. Okay, this game manager, this player manager. Okay, and now here we're doing game manager equals game manager instance. Player manager equals, there you go. Okay, and now here we're gonna do a platform manager. Where was it? Oh, okay, no. Let's say this. Okay. On trigger enter. Yeah. Okay, this is what I'm gonna have to do. Okay. So now what we're gonna do here is header. Okay. It's gonna be. Okay. So what it's going to be is that's how headers are written, right? Yeah. Okay, so it's only giving me an error. Oh, fuck. There you go. Because here, okay, hold on. Spawner manager, where's the lists? Okay. Player upgrade, upgrades list. Okay, so. Nope. Game object, which is going to be so grade objects list. So upgrade objects list equals okay, there you go. And now what we're gonna do here is index equals it's gonna be upgrade ID, let's say, and whoops, yep, and just list element equals, okay, so list element equals okay, so let's say for now this is what we're gonna say, and then okay, so the idea is that the objects contained inside of this public game objects list are going to be objects that each have this type of, like one of these, right? Basically like one of these, what do you call them? One of these scripts, right? But now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just make a little change, right? So public list equals game object. Okay. Player upgrade. Player, public list game object. Player bodies list, or bodies list equals new. There you go. Public list object is going to be player legs list I know this is probably really fucking boring, but again, like this is the most boring part of game development. It's like setting everything up and like doing all the boring shit. That's like really repetitive, really, you know, unfulfilling almost or whatever, but that's where everything starts. Player arm right. Player arms. Player arms right. Public list. Game object. Player arms. Oops. Fuck. List. Okay, so all 4 of these lists contain game objects that contain specific limbs for the player to acquire. Oops. Index equals limb ID, and then list element equals limb object, let's say, right? Okay, so the idea that I got is that, so upgrade ID, upgrades assigned object, right? Okay, so the idea is that the first upgrades that the player is going to get is going to be one of these 4, right? To allow the player to determine like what kind of limb do they want, right? Like, do I want an arm with cannons, or do I want my whole arm to be one big cannon, or my torso to have like a beam in it, or like whatever, right? Whatever the fuck it is, right? And then once, for instance, like the player, let's say, has acquired their right arm from the list of potential different right arms. Is that Mecha George Floyd? George Droid, as they say. But yeah, so basically once the player has acquired one of their, what do you call it? Like, let's say like the player has acquired their first right arm, right? Well, at that point, they're not going to get another right arm, you know? It's kind of like in Hades, where when you choose your weapon at the beginning of a run, you're going to do your whole run with that weapon, right? However, at this point, here in the upgrades list, so once the player has acquired one of each of these 4 limbs, so the player has a body, has specific legs, a specific right arm, and a specific left arm, then the player is going to be able to, every round the player is going to choose certain what are they called, the player is going to choose do the famous tutorial, do the most famous tutorial ever. We play as George Droid and the police droids are trying to put the knee on us. Hey, listen, I don't wanna get you know, a visit from the crimers of peace at my address, so I'm not sure if I'm exactly. So anyways, so as I was saying, so basically what I'm thinking is maybe at the very start of a run, I don't know, I'm not sure if these ones, I think at the start what I'm gonna do is at the very start of a run, the player is gonna get a random one from all of these, right? From each of these. And then every upgrade that the player gets is going to be some sort of modifier that the player can add to one of their limbs, right? No, we'd be heroes representing a tragedy. We are fighting as the good guy. Yep. I'm sure that's how they're gonna see it. All right. So hold on. So okay. So Player bodies, legs, etc., and then upgrades list. Okay. Okay. So now let's go into the player manager. Let's go into the player manager and do, okay, so feather core variables. Okay. Player torso object, player legs object. Okay, hold on. So let's copy paste this here. Okay, yeah. Okay, this like that. Public list. This is something you're gonna see about me. I love lists and I love for loops. Like almost all my code is done just using these two things, and I go a bit spurgy when it comes to that, but it's just, to me, I've used them so long that it's kind of like intuitive for me, you know what I mean? So I apologize in advance if things get very convoluted and very weird with my code, but like again, like this is how I'm working, right? And the idea behind these streams is look at the way I do things and don't try to do things the exact same way I'm doing. Rather use that as an inspiration to develop your own style of coding, right? So list game object, player mech sections list, new list game object. Okay, so now 0 equals player body equals player legs equals player right arm, player arm right, player arm left. Okay, there you go. Is that how I've done all of them? Arms right, arms left. Okay, perfect. There you go. Right. You say that, but then you be getting those big BLM donations and BLM matches. That's one way out of the ghetto. Yeah, well, I don't think the money's worth it, man. I personally want nothing to do with these people. I remember when I was working at the gym during COVID, I would get into arguments with all the fucking white girls working there, who are like, what? What do you mean BLM are like communists and crooks and blah blah blah? What do you mean? Like you don't believe in Black Lives Matter and blah? I'm like, yeah, I don't. I don't think any lives matter. I think the only lives that matter are the ones you care about. So stop acting like your specific vision of reality is like normal, and that anybody who doesn't share your view is like weird or evil or whatever, you know. But typical white woman, white woman in her 20s who goes to university to like help retarded brown people in their shithole countries. Anyways. All right, so player max sections list. Okay. All right, hold on. Okay, so again, the core gameplays, we have these ones here, right? Okay. Okay. All right. So let's do. Okay, so let's go back here and do a bunch of enum variables. Okay. For the left arm and the right arm. Okay. And actually what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna move these like that. I'm gonna put the left arm above. I like for everything to be put with purpose, right? Like again, this is how like borderline autistic I am. Like like even the variables need to be put in the right order, otherwise it bothers me, you know? So now here we're just gonna change this like that. This here we're gonna change this like that. I'm a perfectionist and my mom's the same. Her and I are like, anyways, it's a mess. Okay, so player mech sections list. Okay, so now what? Okay, I was here. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is public enum. Public enum. Didn't I have in the platform manager? It was. Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna copy this because it's okay, public enum is going to be left arm type, and for now, oh, what the fuck? Okay, there you go. None cannon blade, let's say, I don't know, right? Whatever. And then we're gonna have public left arm type, and we're gonna do current arm type equals left arm. Amazing. Okay. That's the way it's supposed to be. You want it to be as legible as possible because you're going to come back later and need to get your footing again. Yep, absolutely. Again, like all of the things that I'm doing right now, a lot of it is like unconscious / subconscious, but it's just because I'm so used to working a certain. Oh my god, I'm so retarded. I forgot to zoom in, and none of you guys are telling me that you can barely see the writing. Oh my god. Chat, you're such N-words. I'm gonna whip you. All right. Y'all have eagle eyes. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure you do. I could read it. I don't need glasses. All right, there you go. There you go. All right. Okay, so let me explain the logic I'm going with right now, right? Like what I'm thinking of doing. It's for sure gonna change the more I code and like we progress through the code and everything. But the idea, oh, Jesus. Yeah, so the idea is that the player upgrades thing here, this code here. Hold on, let me just also make it into a okay, there you go. Yeah, let me just player upgrade. So maybe it should have been player upgrade manager. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. So actually here, I'm gonna show you guys how you can change a script's name, okay? So right now, this script is called player upgrade, but I'm gonna change it to player upgrades manager, okay? So if I go here, okay, and now you're gonna see why I prefer not doing it this way, because I like things being clean, but at this point I don't feel like erasing all or like copy pasting this into a new script and blah, blah. It's just You know what I mean? Even though it's gonna take maybe 30 seconds, I don't feel like doing it, right? So we're gonna go player upgrade. Okay, player upgrade. Click again, right? So let's say click once, click again on the name, right? And then change to upgrades manager, okay? Oh, what's happening? Player upgrade doesn't exist, right? So now we're waiting for this. Now we're gonna double click. And look, nothing's changed, right? Like I've changed the name here and now everything seems fine, right? But if you pay close attention, this thing here is still the same, right? So what you need to do is also right click, rename, and then name it so that it matches the actual file's name, right? And now you're waiting for it to compile, right? So I'm just gonna close this, and now we're gonna double click. There you go. Now everything should be working. So player upgrades manager, player upgrades manager instance. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, okay. So there's nothing to see here. Okay, there you go. Okay, player upgrades manager. So then player manager, private, player upgrades manager, script. Now we're gonna go down here, player upgrades manager equals upgrades manager dot blah 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 instance. And then we're gonna do the same thing with this one, just in case I ever need it. I don't even know if I'm actually gonna need it, but you know. Private player upgrades manager. So player upgrade. There you go. Yeah, when I first done coding for old games that I went back to, I had to relearn everything I did because I never did any of the green dotting. Had to force myself to do as I went on. Yeah. Right, I have to go. Luckily, you won't be derailed every few minutes, just so that things are awkward for you later. I can now roleplay you while watching. Oh, Jesus Christ, bro. God damn. Oh, jeez. For those of you who don't know, like, I look like Johnny Sins in real life, so everybody keeps making that fucking joke. Oh, Jesus. Anyways, so back on topic, fucking AGT constantly. Oh, Jesus. All right. Okay. So player upgrades manager, blah blah blah. Okay, so now we have this done here. Okay, so now we're gonna create the enums here. Okay, let's say exactly left arm. We have 3 types for now: none, cannon, blade, whatever, right? Then we're gonna do the same thing. So setup. Types. Like that. No, here it's gonna be the right arm. Right arm types. Okay, there you go. And same thing, let's say cannon, blade, shield. Okay, there you go. shield. There you go. Okay, and what we're gonna do here, and so my goal by the end of today's live stream is to have a mechanic that would allow what's it called? That would allow the player to collide with the upgrades object or whatever and get a free upgrade from it, right? Okay. So now, where was it? Was it in the game manager? Current body script. Okay. Okay. So limb ID. Okay. Upgrades. Okay, so each of these are going to be contained inside of these here. And then whenever the player collides with them, if he doesn't have... Okay. So if this player manager script dot list max sections list 0 equals null, okay, give the player a random body section. Okay, now we're gonna do this like that. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Else, oh fuck. Else. Okay, so as I said, basically, let's pretend that the player initially starts with like a very basic body, right? So they still have like a torso, 2 arms, 2 legs, etc. But they have no specific abilities associated to them, none of that stuff, right? Like they're like they don't have any of the cannons, any of the fancy stuff, right? Like they're the most basic bitch. They're kind of like this, right? Like the most basic bitch mech you can think of, right? And then the first time they walk into the upgrades object or whatever, they're instantly going to be given a random like section, right? So a random torso, a random set of legs, a random arm, and a random a random left and right arm, right? So if you remember here in the player manager, what I did, oh, not here, okay, here. What I did is I created a public list of type game object, and it's called player mech sections list, okay? And then what I said is the index 0 is associated with the player body, the index 1 is associated with the player legs, index 2 the left arm, and index 3 the right arm, right? Now what this means, okay, is that if we go here into the scene and I select my player manager, where is it? Nani? Where is my list? Or has it not updated properly? It's a public list and it's right beneath core variables. Oh my god, there it is. I was just blind. I couldn't see it. Anyways, so what this means, okay, is that I'm immediately gonna create 4 slots, but I'm gonna leave them empty, right? So here it says game object none, game object none, none, right? There are no game objects here, right? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into the player upgrades manager script and say whenever this script collides on trigger with the with another object that has the player tag on it, right? So basically whenever it collides with the player, yeah, here I have the old thing. It's, hold on, I'm gonna change. So whenever player enters the upgrade zone, let's say, they will receive a random upgrade, okay? First, if the player is missing a mech section, in parentheses a limb, they will receive one at random. Oops, Jesus, okay, there you go. So give the player a random body section, give the player a random legs section, give the player a random left arm section, and here it's right arm section, right? And here we change it to 0, 1, 2, and 3, because here's a reminder, the number here, the integer here refers to the what's it called? It refers to the index of whatever list element is inside of this list, right? So basically what I'm saying is the first, like whenever, not just the first time, but whenever the player collides with the upgrade zone or the upgrade object or whatever, right? Check to see if the player manager script has a game object assigned to list element 0, right? And now because I've put all 4 of these to null, right? What that means is that it's gonna detect, oh, there isn't any object at list element 0, so we're gonna go here and I'm gonna give it I'm gonna assign it a random one. Now here I did if, else if, else if, else if. That's actually a mistake, I just realized. And instead it's all if, right? Because the reason why this is a mistake is that if I leave them all to only the first one is if and the rest is else if, I'm gonna have to collide 4 times to get each of these, right? Because it says like, if this is true, then this happens, and all 3 of these are skipped, right? And then the next time I collide, well, this is gonna be false because it's not gonna be null anymore. But this one's gonna be true, so this one's gonna happen, and these 2 aren't gonna happen, right? Etc., right? But instead, if I just put them all if, right? They're all, hold on. Actually, I'm gonna write it like this. There you go. There you go. Oh, no. Like that. Like that. Right? And now here we're gonna do like that. Okay. There you go, right? So now because they're all if statements, they're all gonna happen one after the other, right? So there you go. So now, how do I get, what's it called? How do I assign a random, like limb, let's say, right? Well, here we have all 4 of these lists of type game object that are each gonna have a game object assigned to them, right? Well, not just one, but multiple ones, right? For each list element, however many list elements there are, right? And so what I'm gonna do is create an RNG and use the RNG as the index of whichever limb, or so like mech section / limb ID, right? Yeah, and then mech section object, right? Mech section ID. Exactly, right? Okay. So I know once again it sounds very abstract, and especially with yesterday's like lists are probably still a bit nebulous for most of you guys, but I'm gonna hopefully show you accurately how it works, right? So if I remember correctly, Unity API, scripting API, random range, something like that, random dot range. Okay, so here, random dot range is literally all you need to create an RNG, but there are two different types of RNGs. There's one for floats and one for integers, right? And the difference is that with integers, the minimum is always inclusive, but the maximum is always exclusive. Whereas with floats, the minimum and maximum are always inclusive, right? So what this means, okay, more concretely, okay, is if I have like a random dot range between, let's say, 0.0f and let's say 1.0f, right? The result could be anywhere between 0.0f and 1.0f. For instance, 0.f, right? That could be a result. You know what I mean? Whereas if I have random dot range, let's just change this to like green, and let's change this to orange, let's say, range 0, because it's integers, there's no like 0 point whatever or whatnot, right? And 1, let's say, then it's always going to give me 0, right? Because it's exclusive, right? And because it's an integer, there are no decimals. I was watching that volume list at 2 times speed. I was keeping along. All right, well, that's good. Yeah, so random.range, right? So because it's an integer, there are no decimals, and because the maximum is exclusive, it's always going to end up with 0, right? If, let's say, right, let's just copy paste, we say 0 to 10, then it's going to be anywhere between 0 and 9, you know? If I say random.range and we say from -10 to 10, it's going to be anywhere between -10 and 9. You see what I mean? So that's the general principle for creating RNGs and stuff, right? Like here in the API, you can see they give you examples, right? Like if minimum inclusive is greater than maximum exclusive, then the numbers are automatically swapped, etc., etc. There is an int overload of this function that operates slightly differently, especially regarding the range maximum, which is what I just explained, you know, etc., etc., right? So here's an example of how they are doing it, right? Let's just copy and paste it here. There you go. Okay. So now how am I going to assign a specific, what's it called? How am I going to assign a specific, like mech section or limb or whatever, right? So here we are accessing the player mech sections list from inside my player manager script, right? So in other words, we're accessing this list here, right? That you can see on the right side of the inspector, right? Through my player upgrades manager. And then I'm going to go through each of these lists. So the bodies list for the list element 0, the legs list for list element 1, left arm for player mech sections list element 2, and etc., etc., right? So let's start with this first one, right? What am I going to do? I'm going to do int. So I'm creating a temporary integer, and we're going to call it body section RNG equals, let's say 0. We're just going to give it a random value. Then what I'm going to do is body section RNG equals, I could have done it immediately like this. I just prefer doing it this way. Okay, random.range, and then 0, between 0 and, we're gonna go here, player bodies list. So player bodies list dot count. There you go. So again, remember that whenever you want to know how many different list elements there are in a list, all you need to do is type the name of the list, then dot, then count, and this means this thing here is actually an integer, so a single non-decimal number that represents the number of list elements inside of this list, right? And so the idea is that this integer here, the body section RNG, right, is going to be equal to a random number between 0 and the maximum of the list. But remember, this number here is exclusive, so it's never going to be included, right? Like it's like saying 0. So here's a good example, right? Let's say the player bodies list contains 10 list elements, right? But remember that the way we start counting the indexes is from index 0 to 9, which means that there are 10 total list elements, but there's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Which is 10 elements total, but because the first one is 0, everything's like shuffled by 1, right? And because the RNG for any random number you generate using integers, the maximum is exclusive, then this is like saying 0 to 10, let's say, right? Or however the maximum is, right? So in this case, it would be like saying, oh, find me a number between 0 and 9, and whatever number it gives us, then all we're gonna do is player manager script dot mech sections list, and then 0 equals player bodies list. Well, there you go, right? So it's that simple. Okay, I had to leave for a while, but I'm back. Had to catch up, increasing valve speed. This is interesting. Okay, well, I'm glad you find it interesting. And I hope I've been clear so far. I hope you guys have been able to follow so far. You haven't missed much, Zeno, but I'm kind of like halfway through something, so I wouldn't be surprised if you're a bit lost. I'm gonna be honest, right? But I'm gonna recap really quickly. Basically, the idea here is that my player manager script has this list of 4 list elements, okay? And I'm leaving it empty, and the list type, the variable type for the list is game object, right? So by leaving these 4 empty, whenever the player collides with the upgrade zone, or whatever we're gonna call it, but let's call it the upgrade zone, whenever it collides with them, the upgrade zone is going to detect that it just collided with the player, and it's going to check, is the list element 0 of its mech sections list, is it null, meaning it has nothing in it? If that's the case, create a random number generator, which like not a random number generator, but create a random number, right? Yeah, RNG may not be the best way to phrase it. I'm gonna rename it to random body section ID. There you go, random body section ID, right? And here I give it a value between 0 and the number of list elements inside the player bodies list. So let's say there are 10 elements. Because it's an integer, the maximum is always exclusive, right? So this number here is equal to whatever the maximum is. So 3, 5, 11, 50 million, whatever, right? And then it's going to go from 0 to basically this minus 1, right? That's what this means. And so then once we have given a random value to this, all we're going to do is we're going to go back to the mech sections list inside of our player manager script, and then we're simply going to assign it the object that is inside the player bodies list at the index at the index represented by random body section ID, right? And so literally all we're gonna do is just copy paste this for the other three, right? And then we're just gonna change a few things. So random legs section, random left arm, random right arm, okay, and then yeah, and then this here is the other thing we're gonna change, like that. There you go. There you go. And now all of this here, technically I think I could, yeah. So literally, well, no. I was gonna say I could transform this into a for loop, and technically speaking I could, but it wouldn't really change anything, because I would still need all four if statements to use the different lists, because yeah, anyway, so no, we're gonna keep it this way. It's simple and intuitive enough this way, right? Assign it to this. There's also a random range function in Python which can be used for filling list with elements. So I'm getting, well, yeah, exactly. I think this is very similar to Python actually. I've never coded with Python, but I remember seeing something like this online, right? Hold on, actually, speaking of which, hold on. I'm going to go. I'm gonna go into game dev resources right here and show you guys. I'm gonna try to find it. So Unity 3D lists. Was that it? How to use arrays, lists, dictionaries. Is that the one? No, that's not. Component common operations. Okay, well, yeah, okay. Add, remove, clear, contains, insert to array. Yeah, but that's not exactly the one. Accessing values. This one's not bad, but there was another one that was really. Oh yeah, I think it's this. How do I create? Oh no, no, it's not this. No, it's not this. Working with arrays and lists. Fuck, man, it was such a good. Okay, arrays, lists. No, that's not it. God damn it! It was really good. It wasn't this thing though. It was really good. Lists. Okay, well, either way, I'm gonna link this one, and if you have any other questions on like how to use lists and whatnot, hold on, blah, blah, blah. There you go. There you go. You can honestly just ask ChatGPT. It's like, again, at this point, I'm like the AI shill over here, you know? I'm always gonna be saying like, when in doubt, ask ChatGPT, show it your code and everything, and it's all gonna be fine, right? So now the only last thing I'm gonna do, okay, is this. Player bodies list section ID dot set active true. Okay. All right. Okay. So Okay, and this is where we're also going to change this. So player legs list. So here it's, there you go, legs list, arms left, arm, okay, there you go. And then arms right. Okay, there you go. So now it should all be working, but I'm just gonna name all the things. So here we're gonna do generate a random right arm index. Okay, then assign a random right arm to the player, and lastly activate said right arm. Okay, there you go. Right, so oops, like that. Again, I'm being very OCD, but that's just how I am, you know. There you go, there you go. Okay, your random body index body. Okay, a random legs section, body section, body section, legs section. So legs section, left arm. I'm sorry for having to force you to endure this, but I'm just OCD like that. Booty. Oh Jesus. All right. So okay, there you go. Yes, and now we're just gonna close this. We're gonna make it a bit more nice on the eyes, right? Because right now it looks a bit like everything's too squished together, right? Because this is another thing. It's like like your code needs to be easy to read, right? Like if it's a pain in the ass to read and everything, it's like, yo, fuck that. Like you're gonna start hating yourself, you know? Okay, where is the error? Oh, there you go. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now let's just do a test, okay? To show you guys what I mean. Okay, so let's go to the player. Okay, so let's say for now we're not gonna touch the legs or the torso, okay? So all I'm gonna do is player torso here, player legs here. For now that's it, okay? And then, okay, so create empty. What I'm gonna do is body section, legs section. And the reason why I'm separating the player legs and player torso from the body section and leg section is because this here, these are going to contain the actual like combat related gameplay stuff, whereas this it's going to be for the movement stuff, right? And eventually I'm going to put this as a child of this, etc. But for now, we're going to keep it separate, right? Just for clarity's sake, right? left arm section, right arm section. There we go. Okay. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna have to move this one here. Oh, fuck. There you go. Player torso, okay, and the legs. Okay, there you go. So I'm already gonna have to move them just because it's gonna be easier that way, right? Now here, we're gonna move this here. So let's say 0.5 or maybe 0.65, 75 minus 0.75 and 0.25. Okay, there you go. All right. And now all I'm gonna do is left arm, create object, sphere. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so this sphere is gonna need to be a bit smaller. Let's do 0.5. Then create object sphere. Okay, 0.5. Okay, hold on. There you go. Like that. Okay. Rocket launcher. Well, for now it's gonna be like placeholder stuff, right? So they're all gonna be spheres, or actually maybe some might be cubes or whatever. I don't know. We'll see, right? But for now they're all gonna be spheres. It's just gonna be easier, right? So let's say 3. We're gonna have 3 different ones, right? So let's say left arm 0, 0, left arm 0, 1, left arm 0, 2, right arm 0, 0, right arm 0, 1, right arm 0, 2. Okay, there you go. We're gonna save, and now we're gonna go back here in the materials. I'm just gonna give them like a random color to each. So green is gonna be 0, 2, red is gonna be 0, 1, and let's say yellow is gonna be 0, 0. Okay, now all 3 of these, hold on, let's go back. Okay, let's go back to here and let's create our create empty. We're gonna put that 0, 0, 0. Okay, there you go. We're gonna put this here like that, I guess. I don't know, whatever. And we're gonna call it bro, my filler word is the N word. How fucked up is that? Every time I'm like getting lost and like forgetting a word, my first filler word is the N word. How fucked up is that? I've been thoroughly corrupted. Jesus Christ. I don't get that reference, Silver Sterling. What's the front mission series? So hold on. So player upgrades zone. Let's call it that. Let's give it the player upgrades manager. Boom, 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 boom. Let's also give it the rigid body, not affected by gravity. Collision box or whatever, it doesn't matter. Trigger. Okay, and let's say the size is gonna be 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. Right, and then this here like that. There you go. Okay. We are kindred spirits, you and I. Pretty much a mecha tactics game that has interchangeable custom parts for each mech. Interesting. Hold on, front missions. Let's see. Let's look into it before we continue, because now I'm curious. Front mission series. There's a bear itch in the woods. Front mission. Oh, front mission. Let's go. My honest reaction to the Front Mission 3 remake. Huh. Evolution Front Mission games. Oh shit. Okay. Okay, interesting. Okay. Man, this looks good for a 1997 game. Damn. Okay, interesting. Okay, wow, that's a big change. But yeah, like I guess this kind of looks like what I'm currently working on, except obviously, as I said, like mine, it's not gonna be like a bunch of mechs holding guns or whatever. Okay, well, this is left alive. I know. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so let's just go here. Kino, I forgot about this. Yeah. Okay. So now this is technically set up. All right. So player bodies list. I'm gonna. For now, it's not gonna have anything. So remember when I said yesterday how to add multiple objects to a single list, you go here top right, click on the lock. So now this is locked, so no matter what thing I select, and my inspector is always showing the same thing. And now for my left arms list, I'm gonna control, boom, like that, or shift, like hold shift, click. There you go. Okay. And now that I've added all of these, so I'm holding shift, left click, control, left click, left click. There you go. I'm gonna disable all of these. Okay. So now, as you can see, my my player doesn't have anything, right? And as you can see here, he has nothing in list element 2. In my mech sections list element 2, there's no object assigned. Same thing with list element 3. And then the moment the player walks into it, it's going to give the player a random mech part, basically. So now I don't quite remember where it was. Oh, well, there you go. This looks a bit silly, let's be honest, but hey, you know. Okay, so let me just add a little something here, just so I can see where it is. Right, so like let's create a child object, cube. Visuals. And how big? 2.5. 2.5, boy. Okay, hold on. Material. Now let me show you a transparent material, what that looks like. So right click, create material, transparent matte. Okay, there you go. Here in surface type, you click transparent. And let's make it, I don't know, let's make it orange. There you go. And then the alpha, let's put it at 125. There you go. There you go. See, so now it's like properly transparent. There you go. Oh, wait. Hold on. I just need to click on this and remove the box collider. Otherwise, the player, when the player moves into it, is gonna push it. Let me just. Now I'm curious. Let's see if it's actually gonna push it. I'm fairly certain the player will. Yeah, you see? Yeah, no. That's why we're removing this. There you go. Okay, so now let's see. Here again, list element 2 and 3, there's nothing on them. And then the moment we go through the orange cube, it's going to update the list element 2 and 3, right? See, there you go. So now we have a left arm of type 1 and a right arm of type 2. And if I keep going, it's not doing anything because they're not null anymore, right? So the way I coded it is only the first time we go through it is when this is gonna happen, right? Try again to see if it gives you another color. Yep, exactly. So let's test it out just one last time to see it, right? Hold on. And so now I'm gonna explain to you guys why I decided to do it this way, right? Okay. So the reason why I decided to do it this way, okay, is that, as I said, for the gameplay, we have like our different sections here, 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 and here, right? And initially the player has nothing, and then either at the very start of each play session or at the very start of each round or whatever, it doesn't matter, they're gonna acquire a specific type of section, right? Like a specific type of right arm, left arm, core / body, and what do you call it? Like legs, right? And the type of legs is going to determine the way that space bar is going to work. The type of left arm is going to determine the way the left click is going to work. The type of right arm is going to determine the way right click is going to work, etc., right? But the idea is that the type of limb, or let's say the type of mech section they get, is always like there's no like how can I say it always works the same, right? So if we go back to the script I made of like a left arm, right? Left arm type, is it a cannon, is it a blade, is it a shield, is it a whatever, right? Like eventually I'm gonna have a bunch of other ones, right? And so all cannons are always going to act the same. All blades are always going to act the same because there's only one type of blade, right? There's only one type of cannon or shield or whatever, right? But the thing then, it's if you go back here into my player upgrades manager, into the upgrades list or whatever, right? You're going to see that eventually I'm going to start adding a bunch of upgrades here on this, right? Which I'm not sure if the list is going to remain a game object list or something else. I'm really not sure. But just the idea in general is going to be that afterwards, whenever the player acquires an upgrade, they're going to basically be able to modify a specific limb of their choice, right? So here's an example, right? They acquire an upgrade that makes things bounce, right? Well, if the player decides to add the upgrade to his cannon here, right? Because as you can see here, it's like this big cannon here, right? Well, then the projectiles are gonna be bouncing, right? if the player decides to add, I don't know, to let's say add a, the player gets a propulsion uh, upgrade. If he adds it to his space, it's gonna allow him to do like a double jump, right? Or it's what's gonna allow him to do a ground pound once he's in the air, right? But if instead of giving the propulsion upgrade to his legs, the player decides to give it to, like, I don't know, the his left arm, right? Well, then it's gonna make it, and let's say he has a shield, right? Let's pretend that he has like a big shield, right? Well, then if he decides to add the propulsion upgrade on his shield, well, then whenever he clicks left click, right? Because this is left click. Well, he's gonna do a melee attack, but he's gonna dash forward, for instance, right? Or let's say once again he has like a shield here or whatever, and he decides to add, instead of adding the bounce, the bounce upgrade to this cannon, he adds it to the shield. Well, then the shield is gonna act like Captain America's shield, right? So basically, whenever he presses left click, the shield, he's gonna shoot the shield, just like Captain America, right? Like a projectile, it's gonna ricochet and then like come back to his arm or whatever, right? So this is kind of the idea that I had in terms of like modular upgrades that slowly but surely affect, like change the gameplay and make things spicier and more interesting. And it's kind of going to be the same thing with the enemies, right? Like I remember reading the document Red Herring sent, and also the one Zeno sent as well, and they had a bunch of ideas about like different enemy types, like different enemy archetypes, different platform types, different weapon types, etc., etc. And so that's kind of the idea I had. It's like maybe I can incorporate these concepts, right? And I was also thinking that maybe eventually there could be like some sort of like ultimate ability or whatever. But for now we're not gonna focus too much on that, right? For now we're gonna keep things simple and slowly start adding more and more mechanics to this project, right? So yeah, so that's the plan. I'm probably gonna have to go very soon. I'm probably gonna end the stream in a couple of minutes, just because I have to get ready. Because I think my mom has invited my whole family to a restaurant tonight, so I'm gonna need to get ready for that, and I'm also gonna need to find time to work on my game. So yeah, so that's the plan. So yeah, so let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you're interested. And again, I'm gonna once again, for the millionth time, link the Discord server in the stream chat. Hold on. Invite people. There you go. All right. All right. We'll let you free. Yeah. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, so again, like if any of you guys have any ideas, any suggestions, whatever, feel free to add them to the Discord or whatever. Yeah, I'm interested. Also, I'm gonna stream probably right after you get off. Thanks for the stream. Yeah, so if you guys are interested, go watch Zeno stream. Are you gonna upload what you've done in the project later? You mean like give you guys a copy? If you want, I can do it. Like, I don't mind. Thanks for the stream, Randy. It's always very informative to me. Honestly, I'm happy. I'm happy you find it informative, right? Because like this is all stuff I already know how to do. So this for me, it's kind of, I'm just like prototyping an idea for probably the next game I'm gonna make, right? Like this, what I'm doing right now is probably gonna turn into the next game I'm gonna be working on after the game I'm currently doing, right? So yeah, so let's have a good time with your family. Thanks. Yeah, and I hope you guys have a great Mother's Day as well. You know, kiss your mom on the cheeks, not on the lips. That's weird. I'm definitely getting good optional ideas for the beat 'em up I've been doing. Okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm gonna get going. Again, thank you guys so much for showing up to the stream. I put up a community post on the channel for whether or not people would be interested to see me making a galactic map. I'm not sure where it's at, but for those of you watching the VOD or whatever, go to my community posts and vote on whether or not you'd be interested in watching me create the galactic map for the game I'm actually working on right now, right? So yeah. All right. So I'll see you guys next time. Enjoy your Sunday afternoon or whatever day you're watching this on, and I'll see you guys next week. All right. Take care.